In this segment of the blemish removal, we're going to remove some more blemishes using a different technique, and well, a combination of techniques actually, and then we're going to deal with another problem this photo has. So let's kind of zoom in here, and let's begin with using the healing brush again. So I'm going to get rid of some of the real obvious, easy stuff first, so it won't take very long. There's just a couple we need to get rid of here. And by a couple, I mean a few. And by a few, I mean more than 6. Okay, here we go. Let's just kind of get rid of these. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on all of this. Also, what about all these stray hairs over here? Should we get rid of them? I would. All the ones that don't look intentional, I would get rid of. All right, and you can see we've got some skin balancing issues over here, which we're going to have to deal with a little bit later. Well, we won't take this one all the way through to the end, so we'll, at the end of this course, we're going to do some all the way from beginning to end, complete retouches, and then you'll get to see it all in one place in the right context. But because really you would need to apply smooth skin smoothing to him, and I generally don't do that to men. With men, I'm trying to get as much texture and stuff as I can, so I'll let most of the work be done by this tool, by the healing brush tool. Now I'm going to get bigger to try to get that blotchiness out of his skin there. There we go. Okay, so we're getting closer here, and I'm not going to put you through watching me do 100 of these, but I will get about 5 or 6 more. I just got to do. All right, so you can see these are pretty easy cleanup. I want to give you just a couple other options you can use. One, when you're worried really about maintaining the most texture possible. For example, the sun has lit this, and you can see so much texture in his skin. And this is before we've done any sharpening, so we've really got just a tremendous amount of texture. Here's a technique. Get the lasso tool and draw a circular selection Draw a selection around the area that you want to maintain the absolute most texture. Then what you're going to do is go and apply a pretty large feather, maybe like 5-pixel feather, to soften the edges. Then you're going to move this thing just like you would with the patch. You're going to move to an area that doesn't have any anomaly, so it's like that. You're going to hold the Option and Command key on Mac, or the Alt and Control key on PC. You're going to pick up this skin and literally just move it over that skin. And because you put such a feather on it, it blends it right in, and you keep all of that texture, because really you're just moving skin from over there to over here. If you don't want to go there, let's pick a spot here where there's lots of pores. Option Command on Mac, Alt Control PC on PC, and just move it right over. And look at that texture. I mean, you really keep the detail. Now, I'm not going to do that on every little pore. I just boom, most of them, boom, 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 boom. I just want them gone. But in portraits of guys sometimes, like over here it's kind of softer. It's not really nearly as necessary because of the shallow depth of field I use a lot of times with portraits. I don't want to actually move and add more. I want to move it out of the way and then bring it back. And it just blends right in. But look how nice. I mean, that's really right on the money. Over here where there's a little hair, let's see if we can how that's going to work for us. Let's go add a little bit of feather. Let's move it over here. I did it again. It's that patch tool. How about maybe something over here and just try getting it right in there. All right. So, woo, look at that. What a well-hidden retouch that is. Okay, now I said we had another issue here, and the other issue is this. So this is taken with natural window light. His eye over here looks yellow. This eye, because it's in the shade and because of the white balance, it looks blue. It looks like this eye's blue and that eye's yellow. If it were me, I would definitely get rid of just the bluing in the eye. There's a number of different ways to do it, but here's how I would go about it. I would go over here to the Adjustment Layer pop-up menu. I would add a Hue and Saturation Adjustment layer above that layer. And let's just go to the cyans and remove all the cyan. Wow, it didn't even hardly do anything. Let's go to the blues and see what we got there. The blue took some of it out, but somehow or another we've removed all of the cyan and all of the blue, and it still looks bluish. So at this point I go to the master and just try to take some of it out there. Well, it's losing its blue now, isn't it? Wow, it's gone quite a bit. I actually might go to the yellows and just raise that up just to bring a little bit of yellow back in and click OK. because I mean this eye looks so yellow, you know. Alright, so I click OK, and of course that looks pretty bad because we lost all the color in our subject. Though our subject's pretty red, we might deal with that next. So let's go Command I to invert that. So the version with less blue in the eye is hidden behind this black cover. Then I would go over here. Let's go into the eye. Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's get rid of that blue in here. Let's just painting in white. Let's not have an opacity of 5%. How about it? Let's go up. There we go. Much better. And get rid of most of that blue in that area right there. Alright, so, and there's still, look, here's a before and after. You can see it was quite blue. We were able to get rid of some of it, and actually I did have had kind of a bad job painting. You can see where I spilled over. Well, that's the great thing about layer masks. I can switch and go, I really didn't mean to spill over into that area right there. There we go. So we kind of brought that back. And it still looks a little bluish to me, but not, of course, nearly as blue. You can see the difference there. Alright, so to finish this off, there's just a couple little things we ought to do. There's a couple areas up here we could address probably either with the patch tool, okay, to just grab them, move them to a better area, maybe something like that. And that didn't do a very good patch, did it? You can see why sometimes it's better to do that technique. See, it almost blurred it a little bit. You can see why sometimes I like to use the technique you just learned a moment ago when it's really critical in these areas, because it maintains perfect 100% skin tone, because you're literally just picking up one area of skin and going over the other. Well, that's probably not too bad for what we've got. My other concern I mentioned earlier is that it's just a very, very red photo. His face just looks very, very red. So let's go over here and go to Hue and Saturation, an adjustment layer. Let's go to the reds and just back off some of the red in his face, maybe a little like that. I'm just looking at the screen. There's not a magic number here, but I think at 0 it's too red, -6 it's better, maybe -10, something like that. And again, it's just I'm looking at the screen and making an educated, I'm not even sure it's an educated guess. It's a guess of how it looks basically on the screen. If you have a calibrated monitor, it's going to be much better. Take a look there, too red, and then I think we kind of neutralized it right there. We're just getting rid of that red. Okay. There's a couple of other methods for getting rid of blemishes. Of course, we have more skin smoothing and stuff coming up. But in the retouch at this point, the last thing I would do is sharpen, and we'll talk about sharpening skin in another lesson. Because, well, I mean, if we didn't talk about all these things, we wouldn't have anything else to talk about. So we'll get that in just a few minutes. By the way, let's go ahead and look at a before and after of our image. So here's back to the history palette. There's before, and there's after. So before and after. So you can see the skin tone changing and the blemishes and the eye color being reduced there. There we go.